Hello, beautiful people. It's Lulu. Welcome back. Have you ever left a conversation feeling totally drained? Like you're carrying someone else's emotions and you don't even know how it happened? Or you hang up from a phone call with your mom and suddenly you're anxious about things that weren't even on your radar 10 minutes ago. Maybe you're the person everyone gravitates toward during a crisis. And while you love being there for people, you're starting to wonder why you feel so heavy all the time. Does this sound familiar at all? Welcome to the Lulu Essey podcast, the unedited show where we explore the real tools for building mental fitness and creating lasting transformation from the inside out. And if you're a first-time listener, welcome to our community of beautiful humans who are choosing growth over perfection and authenticity over approval. I'm so pleased you're here. We've spent the last 3 weeks learning to sense, honor, and trust our own nervous system. But what happens when someone else's emotional storm pulls you in? This week isn't just about awareness, it's about protection. This may be the boundary-setting blueprint your nervous system has been waiting for. What I've uncovered through my own journey, and the neuroscience backs this up, is that you can be deeply empathetic without becoming an emotional dumping ground. You can care profoundly while protecting your energy at the same time. The most loving thing you can do isn't absorbing everyone's emotions. It's learning to stay present and open without losing yourself in the process. Share this episode with someone who gives until they're empty, zero, nothing left to give. They need to know that boundaries are not walls. They are foundations that allow sustainable love and compassion. Over the past 3 weeks, we've built something powerful together. In episode 36, we explored your nervous system compass and how to read your body's wisdom. Episode 37 gave us tools for the courage to disappoint. And last week in episode 38, we discovered how confidence and joy create an incredible feedback loop when you honor your authentic self. All of this neuroscience-backed foundation has been preparing us for today's conversation. How to maintain your emotional boundaries that protect your energy while keeping your heart open. When you understand your nervous system states, you have the courage to disappoint, and when you tap into the confidence joy loop, you create the perfect environment for healthy emotional boundaries. And I'll share some research about why some brains naturally absorb emotions while others seem more protected, and how you can work with your unique wiring instead of against it. Let me start with something that surprised me. Emotional absorption isn't a character flaw or a sign of weakness. It's actually a neurological difference that affects about 20% of the population. Dr. Elaine Hatfield's groundbreaking research on emotional contagion shows us that we literally catch emotions from others through unconscious mimicry. Your brain has these incredible cells called mirror neurons that fire when you experience something and when you witness someone else experiencing it. This happens in milliseconds before you're even consciously aware of what's occurring. This is universal. We all experience emotional contagion, which is simply when we feel what others feel. It's why you can walk into a room and immediately sense tension, or why being around anxious people can make you feel anxious too. But here's where the plot thickens. Not everyone experiences this to the same degree. The second Dr. Elaine Aron, discovered something fascinating in her research on highly sensitive persons. About 20% of the population has a more sensitive nervous system that processes emotional information more deeply and with less natural filtering. If you've ever been told you're too sensitive, this isn't something to fix. It's a neurological difference. Dr. Aron's research shows that highly sensitive people have more active mirror neuron systems and pick up on emotional subtleties that others miss. Think about it. Do you often sense how someone is feeling before they actually tell you? Do crowds or emotionally intense people leave you feeling drained? Here's the connection to everything we've been building. When you absorb someone else's emotions, your nervous system actually shifts states. Remember our traffic light system from episode 36? If someone around you is in yellow zone activation, anxious, overwhelmed, or stressed, your system automatically shifts into yellow zone 2. If they're in red zone shutdown, you might find yourself unexpectedly feeling disconnected or depressed. The amazing part about understanding this science is that emotional boundaries aren't about shutting down your empathy. They're about developing conscious choice over which emotional energies you engage with and which ones you are mindful of and perhaps don't engage with. Which relationships consistently leave you feeling energized versus drained? Your nervous system already knows the difference. This understanding became deeply personal for me during what I now call my emotional sponge era. I had convinced myself that being a good person meant being available for everyone's emotional needs. I was the friend people called during breakdowns, the colleague who absorbed workplace stress that wasn't mine, the family member who managed everyone else's feelings. I wore my emotional availability like a badge of honor. The wake-up call came during a particularly intense few months where multiple people in my life were facing major challenges at the same time. A close friend was going through a difficult divorce. Another was dealing with job loss. A family member was struggling with depression, and a colleague was having panic attacks about a project. I found myself carrying all of their emotional experiences as if they belonged to me. I was lying awake at 3 a.m., worrying about my friend's divorce, feeling depressed about situations that weren't mine, having stress responses about work problems I wasn't even involved in. My nervous system was stuck in yellow zone activation, and I couldn't understand why. Nothing felt right. Then my therapist asked me a question that changed everything. Whose emotions are you actually feeling right now? As I sat with that question, I realized I honestly didn't know. I had become so skilled at emotional absorption that I had lost touch with my own feelings. I was like an emotional chameleon, constantly shifting to match whatever energy surrounded me. And this feeds into the people-pleasing natures which so many of us have. That's when I understood that my inability to set boundaries wasn't actually helping anyone. By absorbing everyone's emotions, I wasn't offering genuine, connected presence. I was just adding to my own anxiety about their situations to already difficult experiences. This isn't about blame. It's about the awareness that allows us to shift. The turning point came when I was practicing what I now call loving detachment, caring deeply while keeping my energy separated from other people's. Let's just call this energetic separation. It didn't just transform how I felt, it revolutionized how genuinely helpful I could be. For those of you who have been listening for a while, you'll know I love to get practical so that you can use this awareness in a meaningful way in your own lives. So, I'm going to share 2 essential tools to help you keep your emotional center while remaining a caring, present person. A good thing to do is to notice how you respond to these tools as I go through them. Do you feel resistance to them and find yourself thinking, "Oh, this sounds selfish"? That resistance can offer a sign that you may need boundaries in your relationships. So as I always encourage you to do, just be open and curious. You can take what aligns and leave the rest. Let's start with the emotional ownership check-in, which is our first tool. This is a practice you can do at any time of day that helps you distinguish between your authentic emotions and absorbed emotions from others. When you find yourself feeling off after an interaction with someone, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now that actually belongs to me? Really give yourself a moment to feel it. What is really yours and what is theirs? What emotional weight am I carrying that is not mine to carry? If you like, you can try this powerful visualization to help you. I use it and it really helps me get clear on what is mine and what is not. I call it the golden light reset. But remember, the names are not important. Imagine your authentic emotional energy as a warm golden light that's uniquely yours. Now picture any emotions you may have absorbed as different colored energies. Visualize gently, lovingly separating these colors and send these colors, those absorbed emotions, back to their owners with love, kindness, and compassion. Once you have done that, reclaim your golden energy and let it fill your entire being. This isn't about being cold or disconnected. It's about clarity. The clearer you become about what's yours and what you've absorbed, the more genuinely present you can be for others. It reminds me in a way of what Brené Brown means when she says, clear is kind. I'm going to offer you one more tool. The second one is conscious boundary setting. This tool helps you create protective boundaries while keeping your heart open. It's called what I call loving detachment. Before going into emotionally intense situations or emotionally charged environments, set a clear intention. I can be present, loving, and caring while maintaining my emotional center. This simple statement programs your nervous system for conscious choice rather than automatic absorption. During interactions, use your own version of these kinds of boundary phrases to maintain connection while protecting your energy. Make these phrases your own and don't have them sound cringy or like they come from a psych textbook. We can think about them as kindness shield phrases. I can see this is really hard for you. This acknowledges their experiences without taking it on as your own stress. I love and care about you deeply, and I'm not able to carry this emotional stuff for you. This sets a loving, clear boundary. What would be most useful to you right now? Would you like me to just listen or offer my perspective? This creates clarity about your role and limits emotional spillover, or what I like to call emotional leaking. After emotionally intense interactions, practice an energetic reset. Take 3 conscious breaths and imagine any absorbed emotions flowing away from you like water running off your skin. You can even visualize stepping under an energetic waterfall that washes away anything that doesn't belong to you. Or you can use the visualization I spoke about with your golden light. Start with whichever tool feels more accessible to you right now. Remember, emotional boundaries aren't about loving less. They're about loving more sustainably, so you can show up consistently for what matters most without burning out. Here's what I invite you to consider this week. Setting emotional boundaries is one of the most loving acts you can perform, both for yourself and for others. When you maintain your emotional center, you offer genuine, honest, authentic presence instead of anxious absorption. You provide steady support instead of being a reactive emotional ping pong. Your sensitivity and empathy are profound gifts, but they can become burdens when you don't have conscious boundaries around them. The goal isn't to feel less, it's to feel more clearly and choose more consciously. So here's your invitation for this week. Practice the emotional ownership check-in whenever you feel off after being with someone. Notice what you discover about which emotions truly belong to you. When you feel yourself starting to absorb someone else's emotional state, experiment with one of the boundary phrases we explored. Remember, this is practice, not perfection. Be patient with yourself and learn to distinguish between caring and absorbing. These past weeks, we've created something remarkable together. Your nervous system compass from episode 36 teaches you to read your body's wisdom. The courage to disappoint, episode 37, helps you honor your own needs. The confidence joy feedback loop in episode 38 shows you how authenticity creates unshakable strength. And now, emotional boundaries complete this foundation, helping you love sustainably by staying true to yourself. Each tool builds on the others. When you know your nervous system state, you can recognize when you're absorbing emotions that aren't yours. When you have the courage to disappoint, you can set boundaries even when others want you to absorb their feelings. When you tap into the confidence joy loop, you trust that boundaries actually enhance relationships rather than damage them. Share this episode with someone who gives so much they're running on empty. Let them know that boundaries and love are not opposites. They're partners in creating sustainable relationships. If you've been with me since episode 36, you now have a 4-part system for mental fitness. I would love to hear which episode shifted something for you, or which tool has already made a difference. Let's close this loop together and let me know. If you prefer video, you can watch this full episode on my YouTube channel, where you'll also find snackable shorts for more mental fitness tools and awareness. And if you would like to receive my weekly newsletter, just email me, lulu@luluessey.com. And as always, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And today, with deep respect for your caring heart and your need to energetically protect yourself, this comes straight from my heart to yours.